Have you ever wondered why certain people exert a magnetic pull on us that we simply cannot explain? Picture this. You're sitting in a cafe, having a perfectly normal conversation with an acquaintance, when suddenly you notice how they unconsciously mimic your hand gestures, how their eyes keep drifting back to you, how they bring up topics you mentioned weeks ago. What you're witnessing is no coincidence. Sigmund Freud, the founder of psychoanalysis, recognized over a century ago that our unconscious sends signals far more honest than any words could ever be. These secret messages reveal the deepest longings and obsessions of the human mind, including those we refuse to acknowledge even to ourselves. In the coming minutes, you'll discover 6 fundamental signs that, according to Freudian theory, definitively prove you've become someone's secret obsession. These signals are so powerful that the unconscious cannot hide them, no matter how hard the rational mind tries. If you want to continue exploring the secrets of human behavior and understand what truly drives people, then subscribe to this channel right now. Because what you're about to learn could forever transform your entire perception of interpersonal relationships. The first and perhaps most revealing sign of a secret obsession manifests in behavior so subtle that almost nobody consciously notices it: the unconscious mirroring of your movements and gestures. Imagine you're deep in conversation. Take a sip from your cup and notice how your companion does the same simultaneously or shortly after. You lean back, they follow. You cross your arms, and as if guided by an invisible hand, they mirror this gesture. What appears superficially coincidental is actually a profound psychological phenomenon that Freud identified as one of the strongest proofs of unconscious attraction. According to Freudian teaching, this mirroring behavior emerges from what he called primary narcissism, the unconscious desire to merge with the object of desire. The unconscious literally attempts to dissolve the boundaries between the self and the desired other. By imitating your movements, their mind performs a symbolic union with you. This phenomenon goes far beyond polite imitation. It's an automatic neurological process that Freud described as identification. The unconscious of the obsessed projects so strongly onto you that it perceives your physical presence as an extension of its own self. The mirror neurons fire uncontrollably whenever you're nearby. This behavior becomes particularly revealing when it occurs asymmetrically. Observe, does he mirror other people too, or does this unconscious synchronization happen exclusively with you? When the mirroring is selective, you're dealing with a classic case of Freudian transference. Your counterpart has unconsciously made you an object of their deepest psychic energies. The intensity of this signal can be measured by the speed of imitation. The faster and more automatic the mirroring occurs, the deeper the unconscious fixation. Freud would say the id, the instinctual part of personality, has declared you its primary pleasure object. Another indication is emotional mirroring. When you smile and their lips unconsciously follow suit, when your vocal tone influences theirs, when they even adopt your breathing rhythm, then we're talking about complete psychic synchronization. The unconscious has taken control and is conducting an intimate dance of souls. Have you ever consciously noticed this mirroring behavior in someone, or perhaps even discovered it in yourself? But fascinating as this first signal is, it's only the beginning. The second sign is even more direct, even more revealing, and it manifests through something that seems completely innocent, his way of touching you. The second signal of deep unconscious obsession manifests in seemingly harmless, fleeting touches, yet these apparent coincidences are anything but unintentional. Picture this: he hands you a document, and his fingers brush against your hand as if by accident. During shared laughter, he briefly places his hand on your arm. In a crowd, he guides you with a gentle touch on your back. These moments last split seconds, feel completely natural, and yet are revealing messages from his unconscious. Freud recognized in such touches what he termed projection of libido. The libido, our psychic life energy, according to Freudian theory, always seeks objects to focus on. When you've become the secret obsession, Your body becomes the magnetic attraction point of this energy. The unconscious constantly invents pretexts for physical contact. These touches differ fundamentally from everyday polite gestures. They're charged with what Freud described as instinctual energy. Pay attention to the quality. Are his touches gentler, longer, more intense than necessary? Does his hand linger a moment too long? Does he unconsciously seek your proximity until physical distance disappears? Particularly revealing is the frequency of these coincidences. When such moments occur suspiciously often during passing by, when handing over objects, when jointly observing something, then you're experiencing classic Freudian instinctual projection. His ID cleverly bypasses the censorship of the superego by creating socially acceptable situations for the desired contact. Another revealing element is the unconscious imitation of your touching habits. If you gesture while speaking and lightly touch people's arms, he'll adopt this behavior specifically toward you, but only toward you. The unconscious studies and imitates your most intimate habits. The intensity of psychic charge also shows in how he reacts after such touches. Does his skin flush slightly? Does his breathing change imperceptibly? Does he become momentarily quieter or more attentive? These physical reactions are honest witnesses to inner arousal that Freud interpreted as an unmistakable sign of deep emotional attachment. Particularly revealing are touches that serve no practical purpose whatsoever. The brief touching of your shoulder when he passes by you despite having plenty of space. The accidental brushing of your hand when you both reach for the same object. These moments arise from pure unconscious urge. According to Freudian analysis, these touches reveal the primitive original part of the psyche, the id that seeks immediate pleasure satisfaction. Your body has become the symbol of his deepest longings. Have you experienced such coincidental touches that didn't really feel coincidental at all? But these physical signals are only one aspect of his obsession. The third sign is even more fascinating. It shows itself in something he says without realizing how obsessive it truly is. The third signal of unconscious obsession reveals itself through a phenomenon Freud identified as one of the most powerful drives of the human mind, the compulsion to repeat. This manifests in his compulsive return to topics connected with you. Imagine 3 weeks ago you casually mentioned your passion for Italian cuisine. Since then, he brings up Italy in almost every conversation, Italian films he's seen, an Italian restaurant he discovered, even Italian words he suddenly uses. Or you told him about your cat, and since then he seems to see cats everywhere, share cat pictures, collect cat stories. According to Freudian teaching, this compulsion to repeat isn't a conscious attempt to impress you. It's an automatic psychic mechanism through which the unconscious tries to maintain and deepen the connection to you. Your mind has become his primary reference point. Freud recognized that the unconscious knows no coincidences. When someone obsessively returns to certain topics, it's because these topics are linked to a deep emotional object. In this case, you are that object. Every time he mentions your topic, his unconscious performs a symbolic reunion with you. Particularly revealing is the way he treats these topics. Does he speak about them with unusual intensity? Do his eyes light up in a special way? Does his voice become softer or more animated? These emotional reactions betray that he's not really talking about Italy or cats. He's talking about you, projecting his feelings for you onto these substitute objects. The compulsion to repeat also shows in his sudden expertise on topics that never interested him before. If you practice yoga and he begins to intensively study meditation. If you enjoy hiking and he suddenly becomes an enthusiastic nature lover. The unconscious drives him to make your world his own. A particularly revealing element is temporal persistence. While normal conversation topics are forgotten after a few days, he returns to your topics over weeks and months. Freud would interpret this as proof that these contents have received permanent emotional charge in his unconscious through you. Also notice how he reacts when you yourself mention these topics. Does he immediately become more attentive? Does his body language change? Does he interrupt other activities to listen to you? These intensified reactions show that you hold the emotional key to these topics in his hands. The Freudian interpretation becomes especially evident when he begins making connections between completely different areas only because both are linked to you. Suddenly, he sees parallels between Italian cuisine and cat behavior simply because both topics came from you. The unconscious creates a complex network of associations whose center is you. This compulsion to repeat is so powerful that it can even influence his dreams. Freud taught us that dreams are the royal road to the unconscious, and when someone is your secret obsession, the topics connected with you will also populate his dream world. Have you noticed someone compulsively returning to topics you once mentioned? But even more revealing than what he consciously says is what unconsciously slips out. And that leads us to the fourth, perhaps most revealing signal. The fourth, and possibly most insightful signal of secret obsession, reveals itself through what Freud considered his most important discovery: the unconscious slips his verbal mistakes about you. Imagine he's talking with colleagues about a project and suddenly says your name, even though you're not part of the conversation, or he wants to mention the meeting and instead says the meeting with and names you. These seemingly harmless slips are, according to Freudian teaching, the most honest messages a person can send because they come directly from the unconscious. Freud revolutionized our understanding of the psyche by proving that there are no random verbal slips. Every mistake is a window into the hidden desires and obsessions of the soul. When your name suddenly appears in completely foreign contexts, it's because you occupy such a dominant position in his unconscious that you constantly lurk at the surface of his consciousness. These slips are particularly revealing because they bypass conscious control. While he might rationally try to hide his feelings, his unconscious speaks the truth. Every slip concerning you is a small rebellion of the id against the censorship of the superego. Pay attention to the frequency and context of these mistakes. Do they happen in stressful moments when his psychic defenses are weakened? Do they occur when he's tired or distracted? These are the moments when the unconscious is most likely to break through and reveal its true priorities. Particularly, revealing are slips where he confuses characteristics or situations with you. He describes someone else using your characteristics. He tells a story and unconsciously places you in it even though you weren't there. The unconscious has internalized you so deeply that you've become part of his mental reference system. Another fascinating phenomenon is phonetic slips, when he uses words that sound similar to your name or terms connected with you. Freud taught us that the unconscious works through wordplay and sound associations. These seemingly random similarities are actually sophisticated ways for the unconscious to bring you into conversation. Also observe his reaction to these slips. Does he become embarrassed? Does he stop mid-sentence? Does he hastily try to correct himself? These emotional reactions prove that he himself feels how his unconscious has betrayed him. The shame or confusion that follows is additional proof of the depth of his hidden feelings. Freud also discovered that slips often occur in combinations. When someone accidentally mentions you once, it will probably happen again and become more frequent. The unconscious has learned that it can use these loopholes and will increasingly exploit them. Sometimes these mistakes manifest in written form, too. He writes an email to someone else and unconsciously adds your name. Or he types on social media and your name appears as if by magic. These digital slips are particularly powerful since they leave a lasting trace. The most fascinating thing about these Freudian slips is their emotional quality. They always carry a charge of affection, longing, or intimacy. The unconscious never speaks neutrally about its obsessions. It always speaks with the full emotional intensity of repressed desire. Have you ever experienced someone mentioning you at completely inappropriate moments for no apparent reason? But revealing as slips are, the fifth signal goes even deeper and shows itself in how he perceives the entire world through the filter of his obsession for you. The fifth signal of deep unconscious obsession manifests through one of the most complex mechanisms of the human psyche: transference. He begins to see, hear, and recognize you in everything, as if you were the prism through which he perceives all reality. Imagine he hears a song on the radio and says it reminds him of you, even though the lyrics have nothing to do with your shared experiences. He sees a sunset and claims the colors are just like yours. He meets strangers and finds traits in them that remind him of you. What seems like poetic exaggeration is, according to Freudian teaching, a profound psychic process. Freud recognized in transference one of the most powerful proofs of a psychic object's dominance. When someone becomes the secret obsession, this person becomes the unconscious reference point for all perceptions. The brain compulsively searches for connections, similarities, and parallels everywhere and constantly. This transference functions on multiple levels simultaneously. On the visual level, he sees your eye color in landscapes, your hair color in paintings, your silhouette in strange figures. The unconscious has created a detailed template of your physical appearance and continuously scans the environment for matches. On the auditory level, he hears your voice in musical melodies, your laughter in foreign conversations, even your name in word fragments and sounds. Freud would interpret this as proof that your acoustic presence is so deeply anchored in his unconscious that it has become a fundamental tone of his perception. Particularly fascinating is emotional transference. He projects the feelings you trigger in him onto completely neutral objects and situations. A certain time of day becomes your time of day. A special place becomes your place. Even abstract concepts like joy, melancholy, or hope become unconsciously linked with you. These transference mechanisms also reveal themselves in his language. He increasingly uses metaphors and comparisons that have you as reference point. That's as beautiful as, and then follows something connected with you. That reminds me of the moment when these linguistic patterns show that you've become his unconscious standard for beauty, meaning, and emotional intensity. A particularly revealing sign is selective transference. Not everything reminds him of you, only the beautiful, meaningful, emotional. His unconscious filters reality and only lets through aspects that correspond to his idealized notion of you. This is classic Freudian idealization of the love object. The intensity of these transferences increases over time. What initially occurs sporadically becomes a continuous stream of associations. Freud recognized that the unconscious strengthens these connections the deeper the obsession becomes. You literally become his psychic compass. Sometimes this transference leads to surprising creative outbursts. He suddenly writes poems, composes melodies, or develops artistic ideas, all inspired by unconscious projections of his feelings for you. Freud saw in such sublimations the highest form of psychic energy transformation. Transference also functions temporally. Past experiences with you are projected onto present situations. Future fantasies color his perception of the present. You exist in all tenses of his psyche simultaneously. Have you noticed someone constantly recognizing you in the most unusual things? But the sixth and final signal surpasses all previous ones in intensity. It shows itself in how his entire life energy finds a new direction. The sixth and most powerful signal of unconscious obsession reveals itself through what Freud called sublimation, the transformation of his entire psychic and creative energy into activities exclusively connected with you. Imagine he who was never particularly creative suddenly begins to draw, write, or compose, and all his works revolve around themes that concern you. Or he develops extraordinary productivity on projects that benefit you. His entire creative power flows in one direction toward you. According to Freudian teaching, sublimation is the highest and simultaneously most revealing expression of unconscious love. The libido, that fundamental energy that drives all human activities, finds a new, socially acceptable channel. Instead of expressing his feelings directly, the unconscious transforms them into creative, productive, or altruistic actions. This sublimation first shows itself in a sudden intensification of his abilities. He becomes more eloquent when speaking with you. His ideas become more brilliant when you listen. His solution approaches become more innovative when it concerns projects involving you. The unconscious mobilizes all available resources to shine in your eyes. Particularly revealing is the selective nature of this energy explosion. While he shows his usual performance with other tasks, he unfolds extraordinary power with everything connected to you. Freud would interpret this as clear proof that you've become the primary object of his libido. Sublimation also manifests in his sudden interest in activities that could bring you joy. He learns to cook because you appreciate good food. He engages with art because you're artistically interested. He develops expertise in areas relevant to you. The unconscious drives him to transform into a person who deserves your admiration. A fascinating aspect is the time intensity of his new activities. He spends hours, sometimes entire nights, on projects somehow connected with you. This obsessive devotion isn't a conscious decision, it's the libido that has finally found a channel through which it can flow. The quality of his sublimations betrays the emotional depth of his obsession. Are his creations particularly beautiful, thoughtful, or original? Is there an intensity in them that goes beyond normal? Freud taught us that sublimated libido is the strongest driving force for extraordinary achievements. Sometimes this sublimated energy focuses on solving your problems. He develops an almost supernatural ability to find solutions to your challenges. His mind works continuously to discover ways he could improve your life. This problem-solving obsession is pure sublimated libido in action. Sublimation also shows in his communication with you. His messages become longer, more thoughtful, more poetic. He invests extraordinarily much time in formulating what he wants to say to you. Every message becomes a small artwork proof of the creative energy you unleash in him. A particularly revealing element is his reaction to your feedback on these sublimated activities. Your praise or criticism moves him deeper than the opinions of all other people combined. This shows that the entire sublimation unconsciously happens for you. This transformation of libido is often so dramatic that even other people notice it. Friends and colleagues wonder where this sudden creativity or productivity comes from. They don't suspect that you're the invisible motor of this change. Have you experienced someone near you suddenly developing unusual creative or productive energies? The 6 signals we've explored reveal the deepest secrets of the human heart, and they show us that love and obsession are more powerful than all conscious intentions. What hidden truth in your own inner self could change your life if you recognized and accepted it? If these insights into Freudian psychoanalysis have fascinated you, then tell us in the comments which country you're watching us from. We're curious about where in the world people discover these universal truths about the human heart. Like this video if it helped you better understand the signals of the unconscious. Subscribe to our channel for more profound insights into the secrets of the human psyche, and share this video with someone who should know these signals, because sometimes such insights can change a person's life forever. Thank you for accompanying us on this journey of discovery. Your attention and interest in the depths of the human soul make our community something truly special.